Hello.
Hello.
We have just left the movie theater after seeing the new movie, They Will Kill You.
They Will Kill You.
Directed by Sokolov. I just looked it up. I forgot his first name. But his last name is Sokolov. And it stars Zazie Beetz as the main protagonist going up against a cult of Satan worshippers. So, as you know, for all of our Justin and Dreeny Romantic Reviews, this is spoiler-filled. We assume that you've already seen the movie. Dreeny, what'd you think of the movie? Do you want to start us off by telling the audience your overall thoughts? Spoiler-free for now, and then we'll explain beat by beat.
I went into this movie completely blind. This is a movie that Justin wanted to watch, and I tagged along for the ride. And I liked it. I wasn't disappointed. It wasn't a slow start either. I was a little confused on some of the editing they used, like their superpowers.
Yeah, you were asking why. There was like special effects going on, and like there was a lot of like experimentation with the camera work and just kind of being a little goofy towards the beginning.
Yeah, so I was like, yeah. I'm so confused.
I compared it a little bit, and I mentioned this to you in the theater. I compared it a bit to Kill Bill, which her and I have watched earlier this year. It was Dreeny's first time watching it, and I had seen it before. But Kill Bill Parts 1 and 2, I kind of felt like a little bit of a parallel to this movie here. Zazie Beetz kicking ass kind of like Copperhead in that movie would have. And I just thought that the action was like a little creative, you know? I thought that they did a lot of fun stuff with the scenes that they set up. And yes, I was very excited for this movie. So I'm glad that we got to go see it together. This is the first movie that we've seen in theaters since Greenland 2 Migration, which was our last Justin and Dreeny Romantic Review. So this is the first time that we've gone to a theater since then, and probably our last time at this specific theater. We went to a dingy AMC. Unfortunately, they put us in like one of the nasty theaters. So it was a bit of an uncomfortable viewing experience, just from seat comfortability wise. We didn't have recliners like we normally do, and
sticky.
There were stains. Not ideal. AMC, do a better job, clean your theaters.
I sat still the whole time.
Yeah,
I didn't want to move.
It's okay, we made it out unscathed.
Yeah.
And you just lotioned, and now your hands smell delightful.
Yeah.
So.
Bum cream.
That's wonderful. Sponsor her. Okay, so let's start our spoiler-filled recap of the movie. We start with a woman named Isabel Davison, who shows up to a hotel in New York called the Virgil, right? It's called the Virgil. And when she first arrives there, it is pouring rain outside, and she enters the building and is welcomed in by this lady named Lily. And immediately off the bat, we can kind of get the idea that like something's off with Lily. Like she's just answers the door super strange, and she also mentions that Isabella sounds different than she did on the phone, and she says, "Oh, I'm just recovering from a cold."
Also, no manners. Like she just left Isabella like standing in the rain the whole time.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And her mentioning that she just got over a cold and now she's standing out in the rain, and she's just not like, she's like, "Do you have your ID?" and everything. So she's making her take her time. And then she gets introduced into inside the house, or inside the apartment hotel. And you can kind of tell right off the bat that like the people in the lobby are very posh, like very wealthy, kind of like look down on Isabel as she's entering the building, because they know that she's there to be the new maid. And once we enter, then they enter through the double doors, or I think it's an elevator maybe that takes them up at the front lobby. And you see like there's a ton of maids in the hallway, basically like 50 of them all like scattered around as Isabel's getting introduced into the new facility. And then the first room that she stops at on the left-hand side, they're celebrating something. It's some of the maids that are having like a celebration going on, and she's asking like, what's that about? Like, what are they celebrating? And Lily tells her, it's like, oh, it's, you know, such a tremendous honor, but she's very vague about what she's like actually describing. Then Isabel gets brought to her room where I don't think I had to step out for a minute, but I don't think that I missed anything in between this. Maybe you could fill in if I was missing anything. But Isabel gets brought to her room, and then apparently somebody, while she's like laying down in bed, is spying on her through the vents in the room of the apartment. So already she's getting like weird vibes, like kind of freaked out by the unsettling nature of the apartment and how everybody's acting. And she sees someone spying on her, so she immediately puts a chair up to the door so that no one can break in or barge in, and attempts to go back to sleep in comfort. But then she's woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning by someone trying to open the handle, and she's still asleep through this. And then we see we could kind of see as the camera pans around the room and hear the footsteps as the person walks away from the door after trying to open from the handle, realizes the chair is there, and the footsteps continue behind these two, a wardrobe that's like set up in the corner, and then continuing past the vent where we see now their face as they observe that Isabel is alone in the room, walking past the vent once again to make sure that she's asleep, and then following through on that, continuing along the behind the wall, and then trying to break through the fridge. What'd you think of that scene? That was kind of silly that they were coming through the fridge in the wall.
Yeah.
Like they have these hidden tunnels all designed for this.
Literally, that's what it is.
Yeah, it was
all
like to spy on
just
people.
Designed for the offering.
Yes, which we will learn to find out soon within the movie. And the person tries to get through in the fridge, successfully does so, and then starts licking her feet while she's laying in the bed, like such a nasty.
Disgusted.
Oh, it was so gross. And they're wearing a pig mask on top of that, so they're just like hella grimy and just like on some weird freak shit, trying to like lick the feet with the pig mask on through the snout. Oh, that's nasty work. Come on now, do better. Then Isabel wakes up after the person's like creeping on her, basically like getting closer to her on the bed, but she's still asleep. She wakes up, looks underneath the bed, nothing underneath there. Classic horror movie fake out. Goes to come up off the bed, and the camera, as it pans back up, the person's sitting right beside her, behind her. Like I said, classic horror movie fake out. That I'm kind of like, at this point, I'm like prepared for that fake out more than I am they're actually, like if he was actually under the bed, I think I'd be more surprised than I was with how that went down, you know? And then she returns back up, and then he starts attacking her, right? And everything. He's trying to like choke her, and then she pushes back, sending the guy with the pig mask back into the mirror where all the glass goes shattering down on the floor. And then again, she shoves him off of the walls while he's like choking her like this, pushes him back, and he breaks his neck on the table that was propped up right next to the fridge, and then falls down positioned in front of the fridge with the door still closed. And that is important because then following this, we see a few more people try to enter into the room. There's banging on the fridge door. They're still banging on the front door where the trash can is, or sorry, where the chair is to block it. And also the guy with the pig mask chloroformed her. He used like a rag with some kind of chemical on top of it to try and like sedate Isabel. And then eventually Isabel passes out, and when she does so, someone sneaks through the vent. They like climb through the vent that someone was peeking through previously, and they move the man in the pig mask out of the way. They open up the fridge door for other people to get through, and then they move the chair out of the way at the front door so that other people can get in. And then we see 5 people all in black robes and masks who are ready to take Isabel for what we find out is the offering. Do you want us to talk about what the offering is and what like their motive is, like these people?
That's a lot to explain.
Yeah.
So these people are basically immortal, and they worship this pig god. So
oh, you're jumping way ahead, but yes, yeah, they're all Satanists. They worship Satan, as is viewed on the door when she first walks in. Like you could see Isabel even notices it. she sees it. When she looks up, she's like, that ain't right, but oh well. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, they worship this pig god, and the relationship they have with the pig god is that for them to have an immortality, they have to basically sacrifice human lives. So one life is one.
Only death can pay for life, which we learned from Game of Thrones with Jon Snow.
Oh my god, Justin.
Bringing that one back. Yeah.
Yeah, so one death would be like an extra life added to that person, right? So, what else do you want me to say?
Well, do you want to explain how we find out that they can resurrect? Because that's when she's knocked out, when she's chloroformed, we find that out.
What was the first thing that happened?
It was the guy who came through the fridge. Remember, he broke his neck, and then he kind of like woke back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He broke his neck. And
which is when you called out. You were like, oh, they can resurrect.
Yeah. Because you heard the crack. He broke his neck. The other lady got electrocuted. She should have been dead.
Oh, yes. So Lily, the woman from the beginning who introduces Isabel into the hotel, comes over to check on her to make sure that she's incapacitated. And then Isabel uses like a taser or something like that to like make her basically blow up and like fall back like crazy. And then another person that we see take off the mask, you had mentioned, I didn't even recognize that was him.
Malfoy.
It was Draco Malfoy, which was pretty interesting. That was kind of funny that he was like a prominent role in this movie.
Yeah.
And at one point he gets beheaded and he's like holding his head underneath his arm, like cradling it. That was pretty funny.
That was a pretty cool scene though, when they all came back out with all dismembered.
Well, before we get to that, she goes on a tear in the room and totally like annihilates everybody. Oh no, it wasn't. I don't think it was Lily, because she meets her back in the hallway. It was the woman, Miss Vanderbilt.
Girl.
Yeah, her name is like Vanderbilt something. I've read it on the pig at the end. I think it was like Violet Vanderbilt or something. The name isn't really that important. There's 5 of them, and they're all looking to sacrifice Isabel to their pig god. And then it's an awesome action scene where Isabel kind of like kicks all their asses, but then we see, because we find out that they can resurrect, we see them all kind of like return, and then she runs out into the hallway where she meets Lily, and Lily asks, who the hell are you and what do you want? And that's where we find out Isabel is there to find her sister Maria. Do you want to?
Isabel isn't actually Isabel.
That's right. Well, before we get to that, do you want to talk about Isabel and Maria, her sister's backstory?
No.
You don't want to talk? Do you want me to talk about it?
Doesn't that come later in the movie?
Well, we get it kind of piece by piece, but at the beginning we learn that they got separated and how that happened, which is what I thought you were going to mention.
Wait. You want to talk about
we skipped
Isabel and who?
Isabel and Maria, her sister. We see
that...
at the beginning of the movie, prior to her even showing up at the Virgil, we see 10 years, or I think it's 20 years prior, Isabel and her sister Maria got separated. That's the first scene in the movie, is when her and her sister.
It's because I'm thinking of the actual Isabel.
No. I'm still saying that because we didn't, you know.
That's what I was
We didn't get to that part yet.
So I'm still ahead.
Okay. So yes, in the hallway, she asks her who she is, and she says, I am Asia Davies, or Davis. And I'm here for my sister, Maria. Okay, that's the part that we missed. So Asia, now we can refer to her as Asia from now on.
Because I was getting confused.
Okay, yes. Asia was impersonating someone named Isabel who was supposed to come to the hotel. That's the confusion right now.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about how Asia is related to Maria?
Yes. Okay.
Now we're on the same page. We're good.
Okay. So Asia and Maria are actually sisters.
Correct.
So they grew up, how to go again? Their dad was very abusive. He would constantly beat on both of them. And
in the intro scene to the movie, we see that they're both at a gas station, and they both stole something from him, we believe. And then he's like kind of storming in, and he's like, you're not gonna be in trouble. But then, like, you know, they both run out at the same time, and he catches up with them, and he's like, you're not gonna run from your father, are you? And that's where, as she tries to get closer to them, Asia
You should continue.
shoots him. Okay. Asia shoots him. And then, as the police are arriving, rather than grab Maria and explain to the police what had happened, Asia runs away because she knows that she's going to have to face the consequences of her actions for killing her father, even though she was right to do so because he was abusive. But then we find out that after she's on the run, at some point, Asia gets put into prison. And in prison, she develops skills where she's a very capable fighter, and she learns to kind of like fend for herself. But now that she's out of prison 20 years later, following the murder of her father, she's looking to restore her relationship with her sister and show her that she's never going to run away from her again.
Her father,
What?
that was so loud.
Oh, yeah. She shot him. Thank you. Thank you, though, for the clarification, because you're right. That does come up later in the movie. Okay. Now that we're caught up to speed with all of that, we know why Asia is here and what her directive is. So now she's being pursued by Lily. And also at the beginning of the movie, when we see Lily be introducing Isabel around the place, we're introduced to her husband, who I think his name is Roy.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think his name is like Roy, but he's like, fuck you, bitch. Like, basically, the second that he sees her, he's like, you could just go straight to hell. And we're like, what the hell? What is that about? That was like out of nowhere. But based on Lily's demeanor throughout the movie, I guess it kind of starts to like make sense why he despises her as the movie goes on, because we come to find out that their resurrection and their rituals has spanned for over 100 years at this point, for as long as the building has been there. So then Isabel, one of the maids like comes out of the room and like sacrifices herself for Lily. She's like, yes, I will die for you, and she gets like bayoneted right into the stomach by Asia, and then holds on to the machete so that Asia can't use it. Asia goes into the room and blocks off the door, and there's this little shitty kid from the beginning of the movie who's in there, and he runs over to her and he's like, ah, with like a screwdriver, stabs her in the back. She turns around, she's like, you little shit, and punches him in the face and totally knocks his ass out. That part was so funny for me. I don't know why, just punching the kid was so funny. It was just so like immediate, like reactionary. Knocks the kid out and then blocks off the door, and then eventually they're able to get through. I forget how they get through, but she tries to like break the window and everything and is unsuccessful in doing so. But then she finds underneath the carpet there's like a secret hatch that she can go into. So then she ducks underneath into the secret hatch, and it shows like an underground kind of like tunnel system going throughout the house. And what'd you think of this part of the movie? Like anything up to this point, or like them crawling through the tunnels underneath? I thought that part was really funny, how they kept going like like it looked like it was like kind of like sped up at 1.5 times speed when they were crawling through there, because they were so aggressive at that. They're like like going through the tunnels. I was like, okay.
Yeah, they were going really fast.
Yeah, they were so aggressive
I think it was a nice
about it.
change of like the background and scenery. We get to see more to the hotel and not just like the surface. We see how they get around, how they sneak around.
That's a great point. Yeah, like it shows kind of like the tunnel systems that they have going on throughout the house that they use to either work for their sacrifices or for whatever kind of needs they may have. It's kind of like they have this whole like skeletal system behind the walls that, like, if you're a member, you know about, and it's kind of like we get kind of some insight into that. And then
like when they were spying on Asia in the beginning, where they were looking through the vents, that's basically what she discovered.
Yeah,
so she was able to go to certain areas in the house and like spy on them or see some lewd stuff going on.
She does eventually spy on them when she is going through the walls. She's able to find where they're located. But before we get to that, I did also want to mention, because you reminded me just now, that I think they also did a really good job at balancing in this movie. One thing that I really liked about it is they balanced the action with the suspenseful parts. So they had like that action scene up at the beginning, and then Asia goes into the room, knocks out the kid, and then it's back to kind of like a scene where she has to like sneak around a little bit too. Like I think that they balance those two really well throughout the movie, where it's like it's not all like fast beat action, but it's also not all like her trying to be secretive and everything. It kind of gave you a good mix of the both. And she was an awesome fighter also throughout this. She was definitely like able to kind of hold her own against a lot of the cult, but also like a lot of the cult were a bunch of dorks. Like they weren't good at fighting at all, you know, like they just
kept coming back to life. That's it.
Yeah, that was their main strength, was the fact that they were, you know, everlasting, is
immortal.
Yeah, not that they were like strong or imposing.
Yeah, like the blonde lady got her head blew off.
And that happened when they were down in the, like, crawling through the tunnels, is the blonde lady comes up to her and she blows her head off with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Which becomes a plot point throughout the movie, because then the blonde lady, her head is basically turned to mush, but one of her eyeballs survives throughout the blast, and then that eyeball, like, basically goes on its own like journey throughout the movie for like 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah,
because the black guy, who is Lily's husband, ended up saving Asia and trying to take Asia to safety, like to some like fireplace where they climb all the way up or something like that.
Yeah, he saves her when they're crawling through underneath, and then he takes her to the first floor. They're able to climb up through the vents and like kind of push their way up.
Yeah,
like that.
So he carried her all the way to where she met her where they introduced the sisters, reunited the sisters.
Yeah.
And the eyeball kept falling because she wanted to know where they were going. So when the blonde lady, her body, it's still in tunnels. Is that her brother? Are they brothers?
I don't know
what they are. But one of the dudes...
Lily mentions them as a family, but I don't think they're related. Like, I think they just look at themselves as, like, a congregation, you know?
Yeah. I think it was Draco Malfoy, actually. Encounters her headless body and talks to her.
She's like bumping into the wall.
Oh, yeah.
She has no head. She can't see where
she's
going.
Mimicking the sex scenes, letting them know where they were in the tunnels.
I didn't even know that's what she was doing. I was wondering why she was doing like this. I was like, and then she's like this. And I'm like, what is she? Yeah, I was like, what is she doing that for? And then you're right. She was trying to inform him that they were on the first floor. So there's 8 floors to the hotel, and they all reflect like a vice, I think they say, or like something that, like, you know, like a sin, basically. So like the first floor would be lust, the second floor we find out is greed, and then we really don't learn about any of the other floors. They don't go to like the 3rd or 4th or 5th, you know, any of those other floors, except for like the 8th and 9th at the end. But we don't really learn what's on the rest of the floors, which I guess they kind of like abandoned that concept of like the deadly sins being each of the floors.
Probably
which
too much to go
which was honest. Yeah, it was too much in like the runtime of this movie, I think. So that's fine that they couldn't get to that. But yeah, on the first floor we see that it's the sex floor, and then she gets past this vent where she learns about it, and then we see the eyes rolling by behind her. She drops down into one of the rooms and they land on the bed. It's Asia and Roy at this point land on one of the beds, and then there's a woman who's like banging on the door from the inside, being like, why'd you leave me in here? Why'd you lock me in here? I don't get it. And when she turns around, Asia recognizes it's
Maria.
It's Maria. Damn. And she's on the sex floor. That's rough. That's rough for her, sis.
I didn't think of that.
Well, there's things all around the room. It's like a sex dungeon room that they have where she's like located. And then I don't know if you noticed this, but I thought this part was also gross in the next scene. So I'm gonna jump ahead just briefly here. When they go to the next floor and Maria's knocked out and Asia's like carrying her, she puts like the ball gag in her mouth and ties her up with like the furry bracelet, like the furry bracelets.
Oh, that's what that was?
Yeah. That was from the sex floor because she knocks her out. So back in that room, Maria's like, I'm not going with you. It's too late. You already ran away last time that you had the chance, and I'm not going with you anymore. I don't trust you. And then Asia's like, you're coming with me whether you like it or not, knocks her out, and then takes her with her basically as her prisoner. And then Roy and her decide to make a break for it. So they leave the room and then they go running down to the end of the hallway where there's like, it kind of looks like a laundry chute almost. It's not like a full elevator that they get in because it's like halfway up the wall. But Roy helps the two sisters get to this opening where they are able to enter to the second floor.
Like a dumb waiter.
Like a dumb waiter. Which involves what happens on the second floor. Wait, a dumb waiter is that like an elevator for food or something like that?
I think so.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's probably accurate because the second floor they go to is for gluttony and there's a restaurant on there. So that would actually make sense because like they'd be sending food up and down from the second floor to the first floor, I guess. Probably a lot of oysters, to guess.
Love oysters. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, then they enter the second floor where they're pursued by the heavier guy who was chasing them throughout the tunnels. And he finds them both in the kitchen. And immediately goes after Asia, starts beating her down, but Maria saves the day after waking up and puts an axe through the fat guy's head. I forget his name, but one of the guys who is part of the cult gets absolutely like spiked on the head with the fire axe and then falls to the ground. And then Asia and Maria, basically Asia comes to, and Maria's using the stuff to tie up now the other guy who's in there with them, to subdue him for the time being. And then she kind of storms out again, still frustrated with Asia, but tells her like, I'm mad at you, but I can't watch you die at the same time. So then Maria goes to leave throughout the double doors to the kitchen, and we hear her scream, and she's like being like, kidnapped almost. And then Maria follows her out there, and it's a completely dark, like, restaurant setting. We get like a little bit of lighting coming in through the window, but it's mostly like pitch black in the restaurant. And then they do a really good job here at like Asia not knowing where anybody's located, and you can kind of see like in the shadows behind her people moving around. And then one of the people in the cult, because they're all wearing like black robes and stuff, one of the people in the cult runs up and hits her in the back, and then she fires off the sawed-off shotgun, and the shot blast from that illuminates the room enough for you to see people moving around behind her. So I thought that scene was shot really well, and they did a good job messing with like the lighting and being able to like hide people in the shadows. It was really cool. Pretty cool action scene that comes up here too, as she goes like she kind of like fights off a bunch of them, but then goes to the outside, and then she gets she tips over the cart full of the alcohol, and then with the fire axe that was used earlier to hit the guy on the head, she lights it on fire with her trusty Zippo, which we saw her have earlier in the movie when she's sitting in the bed and she's like kind of like on edge before she falls asleep from the guy who was peeking through the blinds. We see her like playing with the Zippo where she like flips it open, and it's like a long like that. So she does that and then lights the fire axe on fire. And then that's not what it's typically used for, as firefighters can tell you. A fire axe is what like firefighters use to like break down a door, but in this sense it's kind of like literal, like they lit the axe on fire, which is kind of cool. And then it ensues like a really awesome action scene. This is probably my favorite like action scene in the movie, was her using the fire axe to like light everybody on fire. I thought the choreography in that scene was like really cool. What'd you think of it?
It was nice.
Yeah. What'd you think of everything also going on the second floor? Like, did you think that was all like really well? I thought it was well done, at least for like coming from the kitchen to the restaurant area.
It was different for sure. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. And the fire axe, like I said, probably the coolest action scene in the movie. And she takes out like probably like 18 of them. Even at the end, she's like, "How many of them are you?"
Yeah.
Like, how many of you are there? Like, I keep killing you guys, and you keep coming back, and there's more of you. So the fire axe though probably helped. And then we see the sprinklers go off inside, and Maria and Asia are reunited again, where they hug. And it kind of mirrors like I mentioned this to you during the movie, it mirrored the scene where Asia first abandoned her when it was like raining outside. Now it's kind of the sisters coming back together, kind of in like a similar circumstance, like hugging each other in the rain of the sprinklers. And then they decide to escape together, where they run down the hall, and then they open up the elevator door and start climbing up the fire escape. Meanwhile, Lily enters with all of her crew, and they find out what's going on, and they're like, oh, you guys are completely useless. How'd you all die? And it's like that old guy who was like, this is my wife. Her name is Jessica. We're actually really good people, even though I think you probably hate us.
Yeah.
And then Asia just blasts him with the sawed off, and he goes flying, like sliding across the room. It's so silly. There was a lot of like really silly moments in this movie, which I appreciated. It was fun. Like, it was a fun action movie. It kind of reminded me of, I think it's called Boy Kills World, with or something like that, with Bill Skarsgård, that came out like 2 years ago, where he can't talk, but he has this internal monologue that's really silly, where it's like, and then I killed everyone in the room. Like, it was like kind of like silliness like that I enjoyed about this movie, where it wasn't afraid to be a little like goofy. And I think you mentioning with the like effects that they had going on too, like it was kind of like ridiculous in certain points, but also some of the effects were bad. Like, they were just outright bad, I thought, even in like 2026, like
a lot of the body parts looked so fake.
Yeah, the healing effect, like when Draco Malfoy's like ankle healed or whatever, I was like, that looks terrible. And also the pig at the end, I thought was the CGI on that was like, when he's in full fight mode, I thought was really dumb. But I'll give it a pass, because like, you know, I'm willing to suspend disbelief. So then they climb up the fire escape, and then they're being pursued by Lily and her whole crew, who decide to come out, and then they're climbing up the ladder, and she starts shooting at him. The gun kind of jams up. She drops a bullet. Maria catches it, hands it back up to Asia. Asia goes to shoot. The gun jams up. Then she throws the gun down, and it hits the guy in the head, but he's still climbing up. This is the guy who they killed in the kitchen on the second floor. And he's revived, so he's still coming after her. They climb all the way up to like the 8th or 9th floor, because Roy told Asia that the only way out is through the fire escape that's on the 9th floor, which ended up being a red herring because they didn't use it anyway, so there was no point of mentioning that, but whatever. And then they all get to the top. Lily's already waiting there for them with her whole crew, and then it's revealed by Lily, and she's like, Maria, are you gonna tell her or not? It's revealed at that point that the reason why Asia's there is that Isabella, who Asia is replacing, Isabella was supposed to be the sacrifice in order to make Maria part of the cult, right? So also the way that the cult works, you have invulnerability as long as you write your name. There's like a list, right? They mentioned throughout the movie a couple times the list. If your name's on the list or you get removed from the list, there's a list of like people's names. So her name was going to be put on the list because she was originally a maid, but she had the opportunity to become one of the group. And did they mention how she got eligible for that? I know that Lily kind of like hinted at it. She's like, do you want to tell her why you're eligible to be part of our group? But then I thought she was just like, you're eligible because Isabella was gonna get murdered. Like, basically, like, you agreed so that one person could die.
No. Maria was going to be the offering. That's why they took it.
But they thought Maria was Isabella the whole time too.
No. What's his sister's name?
Asia. Yeah.
The one that's part of the cult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Asia.
No, Asia's not in the cult. Maria's in the cult.
Okay, Maria, the one that's in the cult.
Yes.
Okay, so the Maria, she was gonna be the offering at some point, but that same day or time or whatever, one of the maids that was already part of the cult stole something.
Right.
So they got rid of her, and Maria got lucky. She got to live and become a maid instead of getting her throat slit.
Yeah.
So that's how she joined the cult.
Correct, yeah. And then Isabel was going to be her offering, but instead of Isabel showing up, it was her sister. Right. So now that we're caught up to speed, they're both at the top of the elevator, and then Asia's like, don't take a step forward because I can go kill myself right now, and I'll jump off this elevator because you guys need me, right? You need me to be the sacrifice, so you don't want that to happen.
And they were like, do you even know who you're sacrificing your life for?
Yeah. And that's where we get the exposition about that. Oh, also before any of this happens, when they get to the 9th floor, Asia throws someone out of the elevator and they fall all the way down and literally eviscerate into a puddle of blood. That's another thing, like the ridiculousness about this movie. There was like a comical amount of blood. Like it was like silly at a certain point. So like Draco Malfoy's head gets chopped off and it's literally like 10 seconds of nothing, and that's just... There's a scene where with the fire axe she jumps and cuts somebody in half, like the season finale of Chainsaw Man, where they just get cut directly in half. I'm just like, this is like ridiculous. Like for that to happen in like a live action show or movie is like, wow. Like, okay, you guys are really going for it. So there's a lot of blood in this movie. And then we get to the end where Roy and Maria are confronted with the pig god, who now they have brought to life by stabbing Asia, and then Lily lets the pig smell the blood, and then the demon wakes up and kind of inhabits the head of the pig, which has the list on him, all of the names that are basically invincible are written on top of his head.
Immortal.
Yes, immortal. My apologies. Not invincible, immortal. Are written on top of his head. And this is where Roy gets killed by Lily. He's like, Lily, if you want to prove yourself to me, then you have to kill Roy.
She killed her own
And she
husband.
killed Roy. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
They were husband and wife, but she kind of seemed like torn about it at first. Like she seemed like she didn't want to do that, because they had a lot of memories together. We saw like framed photos of them like throughout their life and their marriage and stuff like that. But Roy kind of towards the end was like, this is wrong, you know, like back in the days I justified it by saying we were using this to like clean up the streets, but now we're killing innocent people, good people, for no reason. So Roy was like totally against it, and because of that it cost him his life. Then Isabel gets called up to the altar and she's like, I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Looks like she's gonna betray Asia and be like, no, I want to be part of the cult. And then she goes up to the head, writes a name down on it, but we don't see what she writes on it. And then she turns around and Asia's close to her and she's like, I'm sorry, this is the only way. Then Maria stabs herself, cuts her neck, and dies on the floor. And then Maria like crumbles down and she's like, why'd you do this? And then she's like, it was the only way, now go fuck them up. Or she says, like, without her voice box, basically.
Yeah.
And
they put the words on the screen.
Yeah, the subtitles. And then Asia gets up and absolutely annihilates everybody, to the point where they're all like kind of incapacitated. Like some of them are hung up with like a chain, and some of them are like the guy who is pursuing them on the ladder, he gets like sent into the wall into like a pipe that goes through his head, and then it's all like frost, so he gets like frozen to the wall and stuff like that. So all of them are taken out by her one by one. Also, I forgot to mention, but the Vanderbilt lady comes back at a certain point to watch somebody. I forget, they're like watch her or watch him, and she has like the little tiny baby head.
Oh yeah.
That she was like growing a new head or something like that. I forget if she was in the last fight scene, but I don't remember.
I don't remember.
It might have been a lot to like animate with the little head. That might have been tough. But then at the end, Asia fights off all of them. Lily gets kind of like possessed by the pig, where she's like, give me your strength, and then she puts the pig on her head, and the pig kind of like wraps his like kind of like appendages into her and kind of like mounts himself on her shoulders, and now it's Lily fighting with the pig head on top of her and stabbing around like this. All of this happens. Basically Lily loses the fight to Asia. Asia knocks the pig head off, and she also sliced off the pig head, her name, which was written by Maria, and keeps it in her pocket so nobody can erase her name throughout the duration of the fight, which was pretty clever. Also, she could have just cut off another piece from him after killing everybody else. She could have cut another piece off of the pig and then wrote her sister's name on that, but instead she uses the part that had her name, and she just changes the first name to say, instead of saying Asia, she only changed like 2 letters. She put an M before, and then she changed the S to an R, and then it worked. So I was like, oh yeah, that works. So she saves her sister that way. She lights the pig head on fire and kicks it down the elevator that they just climbed up, and it makes this big explosion, basically blows up the building for the most part. But somehow, I don't remember if they showed this part, but somehow she's able to walk out through the lobby, even though she just kicked the flaming pig head down the elevator, and it blows up the whole building. It doesn't really show you how she gets back down to the bottom, I don't think, but she walks out through the lobby, and then there's the guy there as she walks out that met up with her in jail and gave her the intel. He's not like a big factor in the movie, but he's like her informant, basically, that gave her the information on Maria and where she was. And yeah, that was pretty much the whole plot of They Will Kill You. Did you have anything else that I missed out that you wanted to bring up or you wanted to discuss? Did I cover everything? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm glad we saw this movie. Very fun movie, I thought. Good theater movie. Maybe better theater next time, but that's okay. Yeah.
With signature recliners.
That's right. That's important for her.
Yeah.
Yes. Comfortability is important. Okay. Now that we've recapped the entire movie, final thoughts, and then we'll do our ratings.
Good movie.
Good movie.
Oh, yeah.
That's all? That's it? That's your analysis? That's your analysis is good movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll allow it. I also thought it was a good movie. I'd say it's a great movie, in my opinion. It's definitely worth watching. It was very fun. It's not the best movie I've ever seen. It's probably not the best movie I saw this week, because I watched Perfect Blue 2 days ago. But I still thought that it was a very good movie and worth checking out. Lived up to the hype. The action in this movie was very good as well. Zazie Beetz, it was great to see her get like a lead role, because she's played supporting in a lot of the things that I've seen before. She was in Atlanta, she was in Joker, and she was in Deadpool 2, amongst other things. But I think she's a very talented actress, so it was cool to see her get like a leading role in a movie for once. And a lot of really cool people popping up in this movie, like Draco Malfoy, like we mentioned earlier, was fun. Yeah, overall, I think this movie definitely delivered on what I was looking for out of it. There's going to be some other pretty interesting, like, conceptual horror movies going on this year. This wasn't really as much a horror movie as I thought it was, like an action kind of thriller movie. But movies like Backrooms I'm excited for as well, which is coming out in a couple of months. We're probably going to go see next week The Date, I think it's called. The Zendaya and Robert Pattinson movie. The Bride, I think it's called, actually. The Bride. Yeah. We're gonna go see that next week. So really cool movies coming up, and you can expect some more Justin and Dreeny Romantic Reviews as long as we're going to see them together. And that's gonna be for The Bride next week. And then you could probably also expect one for Spider-Man when that one comes out, because we've been watching a lot of those. Dreeny's seen the Spider-Verse movies now.
Yep, I'm all caught up.
She's all caught up on everything Marvel, except for X-Men. Still gotta get to that at some point. Come on, you've seen everything else. You act like X-Men's gonna be bad. It's gonna be great. And we're still doing
me X-Men in black and white.
In black and white? I don't remember that. X-Men's not in black and white.
What was the wolf? In the black and white movie that also had color.
Oh no, you're thinking of Werewolf by Night.
That's not X-Men.
No, that's not X-Men. Werewolf by Night's like it's like a Marvel movie, but it's not superhero related, really. It's more like Swamp Monster and stuff like that is what it was about, and werewolves. Yeah, it's about like mythical monsters, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not really related to the Marvel stuff, though. Yeah.
So why'd you make me watch it?
Because it's a Marvel movie. It's like you watch Howard the Duck, you know?
So it wasn't part of the universe?
I think it is, but it happens like way before everything else, so it's not like important to the rest of the stuff. No one in that movie has shown up in anything else Marvel related,
so why'd you make me watch it?
Because it's fun. It's 45 minutes. Jeez, like, act like it was so bad. It's a 45-minute movie. Like, why did I have to watch that?
They also had it
in color. No patience, like a bad doctor.
They also had it in color, and you showed it in black and white.
It's for the authenticity. Look, you watch Godzilla -1, you watch it in black and white. It's just how it is.
Really? It's in black and white?
They have both versions. Yeah. All right, so let's give our ratings for They Will Kill You. Let me know when you're ready.
Ready?
Okay, she's ready. All right, 3, 2, 1. 4 stars. I would even maybe go 4.5, but I wouldn't say it was like that good. It was just a fun time, you know, like it wasn't like stand out crazy. I thought that also they introduced a lot of like mysteries that they quickly solved. Like they let you kind of like wonder about something, but only for like 10 minutes at a time, and then they'd reveal it to you, which I actually kind of liked because it allowed them to free up more space for more interesting things the further the movie got on. Yeah. Awesome action in this one. Cool movie. So yeah, that'll do it for us for another episode of Justin
Dreenys
Romantic
Review.
Thank you for joining us. See you later. It's okay, it's allowed. Okay, bye.